Hey, how's it going? How's everybody doing? Uh, Today we're going to talk about uh, Geronimo. Uh, we'll talk about the Marx toys, Native American figure line a little bit, um, but mainly we're going to talk about the Best of the West Marx release of the Geronimo movable Apache figure from this particular one, this box, and the figure that came in this box are from 1974. So this is it's taken me some time to decide how I was going to do this video. Um, I love these figures so much, and as a kid, this Geronimo figure was I don't know, he's probably my favorite. I had this Geronimo figure more than I did the Johnny West figure, truthfully. And what's interesting is that here as we speak now in this video in 2021, this Geronimo figure that you see here before you um, is the maybe I don't know if I would say it's the best built figure of the entire set, but it's the figure of the entire set that seems to be the most longest lasting. So if you go looking for these Johnny West Best of the West figures, this particular body, this particular figure, this Geronimo figure outlasted and outlived everybody else. There's more of him that survived than anything else. His this body, this plastic mix, this color, uh, has lasted longer than the other. Definitely longer than the caramel, Johnny West color. So this stuff is like brand new. It's very tough. These figures are tough. They have lasted a long, long time. Going to last forever. So the Geronimo figure and how Louis Marx baked sorrow into his toys. And I'm going to use that term. I'll say baked in sorrow. So this was not the first time that the Louis Marx Toy Company had ventured into history, and and it was also not the first time that that they had touched uh, on war. But this figure, this Geronimo figure, is based on a real person. Johnny West was not a real person. Geronimo was a real man, and his story is sorrowful, sorrowful, um, and interestingly enough, in my opinion, I don't think that the Marx Toy Company, did much by accident. I think everything is at this point, by this time, it's you've got to know it's by design. That he's doing this stuff by design. Uh, he had made the cover of Time magazine because he made what did he make, like $5 million in one year, the first toy company. It was something like that, and it was like 1954 or something. So he was very successful and a very smart man, and he surrounded himself with very smart people. And so they decided to add Geronimo to the line. And let's take a look at the box. So here's what the box looks like that your figure would have come in, like my figure came in. I like that we've got some grease pencil writing for $5.50 at one point. This was sold for. Beautiful box art. Got a photograph of the figure. Again, if I didn't mention this, oh, these are 1/6 scale figures. It says over 11 inches tall. He comes in right about 12 inches. If I didn't mention, this is going to be a longer video because I'm going to just go into this. This might be a while. This might be a while, you guys. So this is what one of the original Johnny West boxes looks like, or at least one of the ones from 1974. The boxes changed design throughout the years. This figure, as well as the the Fighting Knights, or they're not Fighting Knights, they're called the Bold Knights, I think. The Knights. These figures, you know, this one and the Knights figures, when it comes to the accessories, you're given a number of options, so many options that you can make multiple different Native Americans, and you can also make multiple different knights using the different helmets. So what I'm talking about is your figure, your Geronimo figure, it comes with the traditional, the yellow plastic headband, which, check this out, it's molded perfectly to fit on his head. Isn't that cool? So it comes with that headband, comes with this buffalo hat, comes with this mask, ceremonial mask, and it also comes with that feather. It also comes with that full headdress, and you also get, oh, there's the feather. So there's achievable you can achieve 5 different Indians just with this one box of accessories that, you know, comes with, and, you know, I've got multiple stuff in here. We're going to go through it all. So here's what your original piece of paper comes with, your instruction sheet, and let's get into the sorrow, shall we? All right. Geronimo was not technically a chief of his tribe. He was, however, the leader of war parties. And being successful, was very influential with his people. In 1881, he became the war leader of the Chiricahua Apache. He victoriously led his band of warriors to rescue fellow tribesmen and waged a hit-and-run battle with the army for 2.5 years. He was taken prisoner many times, but always managed to escape. He finally surrendered in 1886. So that's kind of a bit of a truncated, you know, history of Geronimo, but Marx was doing their best, and that's pretty good, you know. Except that, you know, they don't really mention that this guy lived out his life in a federal penitentiary, and the reason I've got Teddy Roosevelt here is because in 1901, when Theodore Roosevelt here, Teddy Roosevelt was inaugurated, Geronimo was at the inauguration. They brought him from the prison he was like a celebrity. It was pretty sorrowful. You can learn a lot about this in this book. You can learn a lot about Geronimo and some other Native Americans. It's a great book. Sorry about that. Check out the Marx art department. So here's Geronimo as an older gentleman, and he's in captivity here in this picture. They're using him for profit. So here's the real guy, and here's the action figure. And really, it looks to me like clearly they based the action figure's resemblance upon, you know, on Geronimo himself as a younger man. But it's a sad story, you guys. So he was in captivity, or not captivity, I mean, he was in prison, but it was a weird situation. Like, he would make public appearances, and he would be paid, and I don't know what he would do with the money. I'm not sure. It's a sad, sketchy story, you guys. Anyway, let's take a look at the entire instruction sheet, because this is where Marx's the educational purpose of the toy starts to come into play. So it's going to teach you things that you'd never heard, like vocabulary, that like parfleche, like I don't even parfleche. I'm learning. I'm just learning it now. I've never seen that spelling of tomahawk. Here's your Sharps rifle that he comes with. Look at the detail of the information that they give you. Look at this. These weapons were highly prized, and they were often buried with their dead. Here's some wampum that he comes with. There's more. On the back side, we're going to talk about all this other stuff. See, look, here's the the buffalo horn headdress, the ceremonial mask, the ermine tails. I thought they were mink, but they're ermine. The ermine tails that you insert into the holes there on the chief's mask. Now these aren't all Geronimos. These two figures right here are Chief Cherokee, and these three figures are all Geronimo figures. You get a saddle blanket. You get a hackamore, which is an early way to train. A lot of the Indians' horses were trained by hackamore instead of by bit and bridle and rein, and it's a different method of training horses. Bear claw necklace. Look at all this great stuff you get. Peace pipe. I've got my peace pipe over here with the Chief Cherokee. So there's education happening here like crazy, right? Like if you're a 10-year-old boy and you're receiving this in 1974, like I was really into this. The first movie that comes to mind that I saw right around this time that came out in the movie theater was a movie that was called Little Big Man. And in that movie, Dustin Hoffman is adopted by, I think they're Cherokee. And it's loosely based on a factual story, like there was a Little Big Man, but, obviously it was a fictionalized portrayal. But in that film, he says at one point, I wasn't just playing Indian, I was living Indian. And when I was a little kid, and I'm sure this was a normal thing, I loved to play Indian, and I loved having my Geronimo figure, and this was a guy that I played with outside in the yard constantly. Like I had an entire thing going on in my head with my Geronimo figure. So here's some of let's look through some accessories. What do you say, huh? Once again, these vinyl accessories that Marx came up with, and Marx was making, I don't know how or why, but none of it has cracked. It all has lasted. Everything is still pliable. Everything is still soft. This mask I don't think has ever even been on a figure before. So this stuff also has a very distinct smell to it. If you played with this as a kid and you haven't seen it or handled it or since, the first time you get it back in your possession, the smell will really stand out to you, and you'll be reminded of it, because my entire adult life I had not come across the same smell as these toys are made of. So you'll remember it. Look at the quality, you guys. Hey, let's talk about this right now. So here's an example. This was broken. I just super glued it together, and it's good to go. Look at that. Check out the arrows, you guys. Man. So, if you were to try and replicate this, I just don't think that they could do this sort of thing anymore. The detail and the quality and just there's so much to it, right? There's some spears. So let's talk about fixing things, like we do sometimes with this stuff. So common problems that you might come across if you're a guy or a gal who wants to own a Geronimo figure. Sometimes, the reason why I have so many of these Indians is I buy stuff in lots, okay? And as I mentioned, these Geronimo figures are the longest lasting figure, in my opinion. And they sold a ton of these. I think it must have been a very popular figure, maybe close to the same popularity as Johnny West himself. So I have an extra figure here and I don't have a hand for this figure. So I do that, right? It's a quick fix. Create this little situation, this diorama, I use a stand for him, a metal doll stand for him, and put one leg up. He's got the ceremonial mask, and so I've got him playing the instrument there. No one can even tell that he's missing a hand. So, like I mentioned, unusual forethought by the Marx company to almost be thinking of army building, but not army building, but thinking of a kid's mind, of a kid wanting to be able to change the appearances and of your figures. So you can make you can make your guy a young brave, you can make him a chief, you can make him a medicine man, or you can make him Geronimo, whatever you want, when you're playing Indian in your own backyard with your Geronimo action figure. The world is your oyster. It's 1975. All right, so I guess we'll talk about Comanche real quick for a second. So this horse Comanche, I think it's a great horse. We haven't really done a video on him yet, but I have two Comanches, and I just happen to have them set up with the natives, and they're great horses. As a kid, I just had that brown one. I never owned this white horse. What else? Yeah, the Wikipedia on this guy is just downright sad. Like he was given the opportunity, like they. I don't even understand how it fully worked, but his jailers would take him to like Wild West shows, and money. He would be like put on display or exhibition. He would do stuff like an exhibition of shooting a bow and an arrow. Even though where he came from, they didn't use bows and arrows. They shot rifles. And he didn't really until he got there. He didn't have experience with a bow and arrow. But by the time he was done, he was an expert, and they all thought that he was a real Indian, was teaching them how to shoot a bow and an arrow. And one thing I read, they said that he sold his hat and even sometimes the shirt off his back at these functions where that he would be taken to. Isn't that strange? So it just makes me wonder, what else he's in captivity or prison. What else is he going to do with this cash that obviously the jailers are dipping into and taking their cut from, other than vices? So, there's baked in sorrow. All right. Interesting stuff, isn't it? So, as I said before, he was baking in sorrow before this, you guys. Like how about the medical figures, right? The army figures, the little army men that we've seen, that I've shown you before, that have the stretchers, and here's a 6-inch figure that I could think of. That's another native figure that Marx made that predates these ones on the table. And it's beautiful. I mean, the quality is amazing. So they didn't always portray everybody, with respect. The first one that I could think of is the Japanese figures, the Japanese soldiers. They're pretty rough, pretty stereotypical, and also, sorrowful. A lot of figures are people being shot, right? Isn't that crazy? I know. Who would make a toy for a little kid of a man being shot in combat? Marx. I mean, this is American history right here in front of us, you guys, and this is nothing to be happy about. And it makes you feel sorrowful And even when you're a little kid, you identify that and you can feel it. So I don't think I have anything else to say, other than these are amazing figures. And yeah, luckily enough for us, this figure right here, the Geronimo figure, in my opinion, was the finest figure that came out of the line, the longest lasting figure, the figure that the plastic and the mold and the joints. I can't even remember ever seeing one of these broken before as a kid. Like, this is a popular figure that was in my neighborhood. I mean, you might be you might be playing in your neighbor's yard and you ask to go take a drink out of the hose bib, right? To go take a drink out of the hose or something, and you run around the side of their house and turn on the hose. There might be one of these guys sitting in the water, in the rocks, in the mud, right underneath the hose bib, just sitting there. And just, that was like a common sighting for one of these guys in the wild. And that guy that you saw by the hose bib, this might be him right here. I mean, these guys the rivets didn't even rust. I know. Pretty amazing. So, yeah, Lewis Marx Toy Company, making toys to last, making toys to leave an impression, and to a morality check. Hey, how about we what do you guys think? They're all sitting around the table. What do you think we give the kids a morality check? And can we make the toys more sad? What do you guys think, huh? Can we draw out the sorrow? What do you guys think? Is it possible? I mean, what the heck? All right. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, have a great day. Take care.